Hello. So it's been a while since I've done one of these. Over a year, in fact. And I've gotten a new camera since then. And the light is good, and the garden looks pretty good, and I'm feeling frisky, so I figured I would take y'all on a little tour of the garden since everything looks pretty good right now, and who knows what the rest of the season's gonna do. So I'm just gonna walk and talk, and there might be plans for the future sprinkled in depending on how verbose I get. So, starting over here, this is our little seating area, a gazebo we put in this year. There's not anything growing in it, really. I've got, these are sweet potatoes from slips we got from the grocery store. I have no idea if they have tubers or not. They're doing better than they did last year, but we are hooked on golden sweet potatoes that you can only get at Safeway that I've found. So we're trying to grow those, and I've got those in a few different places. If nothing else, they're aesthetic. This is a white sage I'm trying to recuperate from an aphid attack inside. It seems much happier outside, so that's kind of our only potted plant situation for the moment. And pardon the excavation. We know there's a family of at least 4 raccoons. I don't know if they're the ones doing the digging. There's a fair amount of digging. Oh my gosh, I look like I'm 300 pounds in the shadow. So these front 2 beds here are my leafy greens beds because I discovered last year that deep mulch and small seeds don't mix. So I stripped the deep mulch off both these beds and put down straw instead, and that seems to be working a lot better for salad greens and things like that. So we're kind of in between crops right now. I just pulled my radishes, and today I'm probably going to harvest the rest of this lettuce and replant this with lettuce. Only one of my nasturtiums took. I'm going to try and squeeze another batch of those in, mostly for pest control. And then this is just random salad greens. I've actually really enjoyed just broadcasting those and not thinning them whatsoever. I can pick them as baby greens, and then once they've thinned out a little bit from that, some full heads will grow, and that's been working pretty well for like a lazy succession planting. These are Brussels sprouts I inherited from the in-laws. I don't know if they're going to produce. I've had not great luck with cruciferous vegetables in this bed. It's our coolest bed. It gets the most shade, but it's just hit or miss, and they probably got too hot over the summer, so I might try replanting. We'll see if these do any better in the fall. These are some carrots. I planted these a little bit more thickly yesterday. I had sown radishes in with them. I learned that as a spacing trick. And the radishes, I think it was a little bit compacted for them because they didn't put on bulbs very well, but we've been snacking on radish seed pods, which are actually pretty good. They're like sugar snap peas that taste like radishes, so that was kind of its own crop, so that was kind of fun. This is another lettuce bed that'll get replanted. I might do spinach, that's Keegan's favorite. I am loving the shit out of Swiss chard. Like, it doesn't bolt, it's pretty, it's nutritious. I planted all of these, believe it or not, in May, and for whatever reason, some of them germinated months later than others, so it's kind of an impromptu succession planting that's actually been working really well for our weekly meal preps, so I'm happy about that. They've got a little bit of leaf miner, not enough to cause problems, but like, knock on wood, we've had very little pest pressure this year, so that's really nice. These are more sweet potatoes over here. This is I can't remember if these are the older batch or not. We have one sweet potato that keeps putting out slips, and I just keep putting them in pots as they come out, so I have no idea if they're going to produce, but we have them. So this is the sunnier of the salad crop beds. I was going for symmetry, it didn't quite happen. I'm probably going to harvest all this lettuce today for meal prep. Kale didn't want to behave. I'm going to try again with the lacinato kale. Red Russian, these are also really old seeds, so that could be part of it. And I've found that because we didn't perfectly level, there's a fair bit of runoff when we water. And these are the only beds I water, by the way. And not often, probably once or twice a month most. So all of this is with rainwater alone, and I think I've spot watered twice all summer during drought. I just put some, now I can't remember. I am the worst at labeling my shit. I have watermelon radish in one of these straw-covered rows and beets in the other. So we will see. I think the beets were closer to the chard because I remember thinking I should space those out and I didn't. These are the only things I grew from seed inside that really did pretty well. I put a bunch of little marigolds in the beds for pest control, and I don't know if they're why we haven't had pest pressure, but they're pretty, so I'll take it. Cattle panel trellis is new this year. I was going for more of the rounded thing. We slightly overbent it so it's more of an egg shape, but it's aesthetic enough. It's doing what I wanted it to do. Oh. That's Norma. We just had breakfast and everybody showed up. She's been hanging out closer to the house more often. So I kind of gooped with the planting this year. This side's doing really well. This is the assorted squash bed. This is one of our favorites. This is honey nut squash from a seed pack last year. This one's a little beat up because it decided it wanted to grow between the rebar and the trellis, and I kind of squeezed it out. But they're adorable. We enjoy them. They're like a sweeter, smaller butternut squash. And they did really well for us last year, even when conditions were kind of terrible. They never want to stay trellised, however. So I'm constantly fussing with them. Spaghetti squash is doing swell. This is already more squash than we got last year. We did have some self-abortion of some of the fruits when we got really hot last week. So there are some spots on here where there were female flowers and they got pollinated, but then they just dropped off because it was trying to conserve energy. So I put a little bit of compost down. I'm hoping that gets them through so we can get another crop going. This is one of 3 zucchinis. I've never grown zucchinis before, oddly enough. We just never had the space, and they didn't take last year, so I'm excited that we got them. I wish I hadn't planted with the assumption that they would not make it, because we have 3 now, and 1 zucchini feeds a family of 8, as everyone knows. So thankfully we're kind of in between swells of harvest right now. We're going to be overrun in a couple weeks here, so that'll be exciting. I had intended to put another what are they called? Early prolific straight neck yellow squash right here. That one didn't take, and I haven't planted a replacement yet, so it's probably just going to be a cold crop in here to fill space. This is a random cucumber from the in-laws. Back when in May, I didn't think anything was going to make it, so I kind of just threw stuff everywhere to see what would stick, and now places are a little overcrowded, so I probably shouldn't have planted this as densely as I did, but with the trellis, I feel a little bit better about it. This is our watermelon. I don't think we're going to get watermelon this year. Maybe I'll transfer it to the dome if that gets done before the frost. But it's just kind of comical there. I'm just letting it, I'm seeing what happens. We planted, oh, that's Big Ed. Hi, buddy. Is that Big Ed? Oh, no, that's our neighbor's girl, Kitten. She also hangs out. We have 6 cats that hang out in the yard now. In this bed, what I had intended to do originally was have all the vining stuff along the edges and then backfill with summer squash. And that would have worked, except this completely engulfed my cantaloupe, and the cantaloupe is no more. This teeny tiny loofah gourd I don't think is going to make it to the trailing stage. I might just pull it. And then I was mistaken in thinking that patty pan squash are a vining squash, and they are not. They are a mounding squash. So nothing on this side currently is set up to vine. So I may or may not today plant a row of beans in here just to kind of have something growing up this side. But next year I'll either rotate the tomatoes back in here or put more winter squash on this side, because this seems to be a pretty happy setup. This is the one surviving early prolific straight neck, and we've got some fruit coming. This is a volunteer potato. I had potatoes in this bed last year and forgot to dig them all up because they didn't do anything, hardly. And this one decided from 10 inches of mulch to come all the way up. So we'll see if we get any potatoes on it. It doesn't get a whole ton of sun in there, but it was determined, so I'm letting it exist. This is our only surviving bean. This is from the in-laws. I have had a very hard time with beans out here because they prefer a bacteria-rich soil, and as you can see, this is a very fungal dominant kind of setup here. So I'll try again. I'm ready for another toxic relationship. We'll see how far we get. Like, this one's not overly happy to be here. I probably need to just stick some in probably these beds and work on getting the bacteria content up in them, because it's just not worth fighting the mulch. But the mulch is great for what it's great for. It's just not conducive to legumes. We inherited this gazebo. It's not going to live here forever. We're tearing up this basketball court in the back, and then this will eventually go in the back. My plans for... Actually, I'll back up here. I get a lot of shit for why I didn't pack the beds in more densely and why I have all this wasted space here. I don't intend to waste it. Next year, what I want to do is put like a oval or circular in-ground bed, probably with some pavers to fill it up, and just do a decorative Three Sisters with some ornamental pumpkins and squash. Like, we'll eat them obviously, but something aesthetic that can just grow in a big block. So I think if we do some corn, beans, and squash in here without a whole ton of the mulch, that will work well, and still have some pads around for wheelbarrows and stuff. So that's the plan. I'll probably do that here and where the gazebo is currently. Eventually I want to push the gazebo back onto the pad again when the pad's gone, and have some fruit vines trailing that, and put a hammock in there and make it like a little food forest hammock retreat. I think that'll be nice, but it's just here in the interim. You saw this bed. This is the happiest marigold ever, so I'm glad that one's happy to be here. This is our zucchini that's doing the best right now. These are the Black Beauty zucchinis I got from Phelan's, from seed. I direct sow these guys. I have not had luck starting them indoors. But we've got one coming in. We're still in between swells, but we've got 1,000 inside, so we don't need any more right now. This is another mystery zucchini from the in-laws. That one's been doing pretty well. I just pulled some sunburned leaves off it, so that's getting a little bit more sun than it was. I don't know what a lot of these tomatoes are. I know that this big one is an indigo cherry because those are my absolute favorites. When I was working in the greenhouse a few years ago, they grew those and I fell in love. So I found a plant and I got a plant, and that plant's the biggest and doing the best. I think, I'm not sure what took. I planted a bunch that I started inside, and I got a bunch from the in-laws, and I'm not sure what's what. So these are mystery tomatoes. I think I have some yellow pears, and I think I've got some of my black seaman, M-A-N, going over here. I tried to put the bigger ones on this side since I'm going to be accessing them most frequently. So I believe some of these are my black crim and black seaman. That sounds terrible every time. I think those are yellow pears over there from the in-laws. So we will see what we get. These guys are a little bit more stressed out on this side. I put some compost down and spot watered, so hopefully that helps. This is funny. This is an ashwagandha of all things. I was going to pot it up to put it inside and put it in the greenhouse eventually, and it was just miserable waiting inside. So I just stuck it out here, and it's actually putting out new growth down here. So I'm ideally gonna put it in the greenhouse eventually, but for now it's just doing its thing over here. There's some bare space in this bed that I'm probably gonna fill in today with whatever. Got more cucumbers, another mystery zucchini, and then I'm pretty sure this mystery squash from the in-laws is a butternut. It does not like to behave. I need to retrellis this, but that looks like a butternut to me. So that one's over here. These cattle panel trellises have been working well so far. I think they're gonna get outgrown in the next month or two. So I'm trying to train everything horizontally since there's not a lot of vining action going on over there. So we'll see how that does. We've been getting some hardcore excavation over here, so I hope they're finding whatever they're looking for. This is basically same as the other side. More cucumbers, and then that zucchini. In the back here, so we don't have great soil along the perimeter here, so I'm probably gonna have to just do this in patches. I want to have these are two lilacs right here, and so they're kind of shaded. I want a clove currant right there, and I'm considering starting, because I want to block out that horrible cell tower view, I'm considering a fruit tree right here. That'll provide a little bit of shade for these beds that get a little bit over hot. And then the idea is to plant fruit trees all through here, do a full food forest thing that'll eventually block the view of this construction yard, at least in the summer, and get some shade in here. We desperately need shade in this yard. Oh, that's Cooper. You can see him. Everyone got Twin Peaks names because we got obsessed with Twin Peaks when they showed up. He's gonna come get some breakfast. They're good kids, we enjoy them. And I think they're actually keeping squirrels away from our apples, so I'm happy about that. Over here. So this looks jankier than I planned, but it's actually doing better than I planned. So I'll walk you through my initial vision for things. So behind the little turtle, this is a little Cupid cherry tree that I got last year that we planted at our wedding. And my thought was that this would kind of be like the centerpiece of the yard. So like when you first walk out this back door here, that's going to be bigger, about 6 feet. And then what I wanted to do around that is a medicine wheel herb garden. So these are kind of like the 4 points right here. And I was going to do paths on these points that'll lead into different parts of the garden eventually. I don't have path making materials right now. I had put some sticks down to kind of mark it, and then they just got pulled around in my skirts and got in the way, so I moved those out, but that's the plan, is to have just quadrants. I've been letting the purslane grow wild because I actually eat it in my salads, and it's not worth fighting. So I've got what is supposed to be a hardy rosemary. I'm not holding my breath. Rosemary has never liked to overwinter for me, so we'll see how that does. Tricolor sage over here. Mugwort that I did not expect to get anywhere near this big, but here we are. Most of these are going to get harvested today for smoke bundles, probably. And then this is a supposedly hardier lavender. And then this is a true hyssop. It is just at full bloom. I'm going to harvest some of this today. And then around here looks kind of haphazard. What I had done initially was spread seeds in a circle around here. So I'd have like a pollinator cutting garden around the perimeter here. Only half of it took, so I think I need to get the mulch layer better over here, and that'll do a little bit better. And there's also differences in sun, so I might need a more shade tolerant variety out here in the front. But I didn't think they were going to do anything because I didn't water them, but they've done pretty well. These are just mixed seeds. I think one was called like edible beauties or something like that, and another was like drought tolerant wildflowers, and they are enjoyable. They've been coming up, doing well. There's some marigolds in here. I have no idea what this guy is. He just bloomed. Cornflower bachelor buttons for days. We just started getting some cosmos. I'm gonna cut some of those a little bit later. These sunflowers are growing like gangbusters. I deliberately did not prune them into a single stalk because I just kind of want to see what they do. More bachelor buttons, and the bees love them. There's some dill in there, calendula. I didn't thin them, I probably should have, but I'm just kind of seeing what fights its way to the top right now. I'm kind of Darwinian about it at the moment because I'm lazy. There's some borage in here, another sunflower. I was very confused when stuff first started popping up because I didn't keep my seed pack, and Google Lens did not recognize anything in here as flowers. So this is fennel, which I was not expecting. These were radishes, and they're probably going to reseed. That's what the little seed pods look like. They're tasty. So yeah, there were vegetables popping up, and I'm like, I didn't plant vegetables. This is arugula of all things, and they have really pretty flowers. So that's been fun. And then along here, this is my kind of patchy attempt at a apple tree guild. This is our Charlie Brown inherited apple tree. It's got some apples on it, bless its heart, but we're pretty sure it had or has fire blight. It has lost over a third of its mass since we got here. We keep cutting it off, but I don't know if we're going to be able to save it because it was just too neglected for too long. So it'll be here as long as it can, and then who knows what we'll do after that point. But I'm trying to plant things around it that will be somewhat supportive of it. I just don't have a lot of room because we run into concrete back there. So I got some stinging nettle, which I'm excited about because it's a good fertilizer crop. So I'm going to cut some of this back today and make some tea out of it. I might throw some borage in there because apparently borage is like comfrey in terms of nitrogen sources. These I'm excited about. These are sunchokes. I accidentally lopped off the central stalk on this, so they're not as big as they could be, but they will eventually be big, tall sunflowers with tubers that taste like artichokes. So I am very excited about these taking over. I got one strawberry plant that I'm hoping will spread in coming years. I finally got a rhubarb. You have to have a rhubarb if you garden in Colorado. It's the law. This is a licorice root. I went to a fancy herb farm in Canyon City and bought a bunch of exotic crap because I like licorice root. I can't even tell you where the main plant is anymore. There's the main plant. Okay. So I don't know if that's going to do anything. I'm just letting it do its thing. This is a horseradish because I love horseradish. That's most of what's in here. I guess I can show you the dome site. So this is our crop circle. The county is making it as difficult as possible, so we have 15 of these 3-foot deep holes, and they have to be filled with concrete. So that's this coming week's project, and then we build. So hopefully we haven't fucked up yet. We will find out. This is all kind of to be determined. What I'm thinking we're going to end up doing is probably planting a shade tree right here for the dome mostly. All through here is going to be fruit trees, fruit bushes, just a canopy. I don't know what we're gonna do in here. I don't know if we're gonna march the food forest forward that far. I kind of want a pond. I know they're high maintenance, I know they're mosquito breeding grounds, but like, I'm feeling a pond. We'll probably do chickens in here somewhere. My device is getting too hot, my camera's telling me, so we'll see how that goes. I had to wrap this up. Yeah, probably chickens over here somewhere. And then, not sure yet. We might keep this open for, like, lawn activities. This is not a lawn. This is weeds that we mowed. That a kid mowed. We don't even have a mower. This is what it looks like when we don't mow. So that's basically it for the backyard. You can kind of see my vision. I wanted symmetry, so the mugwort's kind of throwing that off, but we'll get there. Over here, I don't know if this is gonna work or not. This is bindweed heaven right here, and I'm trying to get mint to take over instead over here because it's probably the highest water area with this downspout right here. So we'll see if that happens. I have to fight the bindweed back for the moment. And then, say hi, Rosie. We're eventually going to have the catio in here. It's just going to be a little short thing so they can hang out when we're hanging out. Haven't gotten that far yet, but I preemptively planted lemon catnip right here for them. Rudy's the only one that likes it. I like it. The other cats don't like it. So, but that'll be where they come in and out for outdoor activities. And then over here, this used to be the most high sun area in the yard, and then we put the gazebo here. So I have all my hens and chicks over here, but now they don't have very much sun, so they're mostly just hens. So we'll see. I might have to relocate these depending on how they do. I planted some cosmos in here, but haven't been watering and they haven't been getting sun, so I don't know if they're going to actually do anything. We'll see. But yeah, that is the state of things. Thank you for watching.